Good afternoon, Sensei Victoria.
Hey.
I'm so excited you're here. Thank you for joining.
Oh, too. It's so good. I can't wait.
I'm so excited. You had me on your show earlier this week, and it sort of got me real excited about this topic that we're going to cover today. And I just adore you. I'm so grateful that our friend Andrea introduced us. I'm grateful. Give her a shout out. I love when people think enough to connect the right people together. And so ever since I met you, I have really enjoyed getting to know you. So what I'm up to with my series is that I'm out to cause more open conversations about mental health, resilience, well-being. I'm a very passionate mental health advocate. My series, Michelle's Conversations That Matter, I'm hosting everyone from someone who's navigated a mental illness and has a story to tell and give us some hope to even a clinician who has expertise in specific diagnosis, so we can all elevate our understanding and education around mental health. So I also love to host conversations that are going to prevent us from a breakdown, prevention. So that's also very important, which is why we're talking about meditation today, because I think that's such a valuable tool. So before we dive into the topic of meditation, can you take a minute for the folks watching and share with us who you are, where you live, and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just brimming with excitement for this.
Yay!
Yay. So everyone, I'm Victoria, Sensei Victoria Whitfield in particular. Sensei means teacher in Japanese. Where I live is New Jersey, USA. And what I do is I teach entrepreneurs how to integrate meditation and a meditative lifestyle with their business and their operations so that they can be more focused and also so that they can live lives that have greater impact, right? With adding meditation strategically as a way to support them in that.
So when we first met and I said to you, I never heard of a business Reiki master. I never heard of this. Like I know my dear friend Andrea Grace is my Reiki practitioner who I love and adore. But I never heard of like specifically for business. So tell us the story about how the universe led you to this population. I think people would find that very interesting.
Totally. So I mean, how I ended up in Reiki in the first place actually was due to a really terrible breakup, right? I just, as a woman, I lost my sense of identity, like really deep grief and a sense of self in that breakup. And that was what brought me personally to the practice of Reiki and meditation and learning about like loving yourself, all the self-help like books that now are all over my walls and
Yeah.
oh yeah. So that is what brought me to Reiki was my own personal healing journey in the first place. What was interesting is that the more that I would get out there and continue to practice, there's different exercises that you have to do that you just continue to cultivate your skill as a Reiki master or Reiki practitioner if you haven't gone to master yet. And you got to work with other people as you do that, right? Because it's clearing your energy and clearing their energy as well. You got to see a connection.
Mm-hmm.
So the more that I would get out there and continue practicing, the more I noticed organically, I just started attracting entrepreneurs in particular, business owners in particular. And at first I'm like, I didn't understand what was going on. But at the same time, I was so happy to see the transformation of people who are coming in high stress level because they are serving others.
Yeah.
They are leading teams or they are doing their marketing and trying to get their message out there, make massive impact, right? The stress level for entrepreneurs in particular has a special flavor, right? They have unique needs. And for whatever reason, Source kept bringing me more and more and more entrepreneurs and business owners. And I didn't learn until I went and got business coaching around this so I could be a little bit more structured, so that I could continue to serve these beautiful people who were coming across my path. But I didn't learn realize until much later while I was working with a coach. It's like, you know what? I grew up around entrepreneurs. My father has 7 businesses. My mom has 2. Both my older brothers have businesses. I come from people who are like starters of schools or of businesses or organizations, and so it was just always in the
Mhm.
periphery around me. But
Yeah.
not until I really started getting out there and continuing to cultivate my own skill of energy work, of Reiki, and of meditation, and sharing it with other people in that cultivation process, did that even emerge. Like I didn't realize that it was actually like a really great reflection of
Mhm.
who I am. And the conversations that we would have would spring from that.
So tell us why you love energy work, and why it's so important to you and the power that it's had in your life. Because I think if you were to ask the average person, what do you think of Reiki? They might be like, oh, it's a little woo woo for me. It's a little, what do you mean energy healing? So like, help us follow you in terms of your belief and why you believe energy is so important and how it's served you.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you say help us follow you, I'm against that. Follow yourself, follow your intuition. If you have an internal BS meter, check me constantly. Like everyone who's watching,
Yeah.
everyone who's listening, they have a direct line to truth and to wisdom. So whatever I say is just my own story. But
Yeah.
I'm happy to bring you into my story. For me personally, like I've been born with like a natural intuition and emotional sensitivity. I've always been like an emotional sponge where I could just pick up on what other people are feeling, or if there's like, people in the house got into an argument or something, tension in my body would just like increase, like I could feel it and I carry it. Um, and that used to be something that I thought as a of that I was actually afraid of it.
Hmm.
More of a disability, actually.
Yeah.
I was afraid to interact with people, and I didn't really understand why. I just thought I just had like a sense of social anxiety.
Hmm.
But come to find out, this is actually an energy thing, right? So this was my natural sensitivity to communicating with others and my environment around me on an energetic level. And not until I started learning more about energy work did I understand what was preventing me from being able to engage uh, in relationships, what was stopping me and draining
Hmm.
ability to produce, right? Or at school when I was younger, or at work as I was older, right? There was this something would just keep draining me of my ability to perform or to stay creative or to engage or, well, Victoria, why don't you want to hang out? Why don't you want to come? Why aren't you talking?
Yeah.
For me, I didn't realize until I started studying energy work that that was the main issue, that I didn't understand that I am what's called an empath, right?
Yeah.
Someone who's a natural energy sponge. And there's people who talk about being an empath as if it is a disability or a disadvantage. But the more that I've studied energy work, which gives me an empowered relationship with my sensitivity, the more I've come to find that it's actually highly advanced communication. So we can communicate looking eye to eye,
Mm-hmm.
or we could communicate by like how we hug or touch or that type of thing, or by from the sound of my voice, or the sound of your voice coming to me. That's one form of communication. All of that is just vibrations that the brain is interpreting. But there's more than just sight, sound, taste, touch, smell as far as venues of communication that we have access to as human beings. And another form is emotions and energy. And that empathic sense, I wasn't understanding. Can you imagine like having interactive eardrums, for example? Just like,
Yeah.
I
That's
don't
a
want.
good that's a good way to explain it. Hmm.
Yeah, and so with that, my heart goes out to all of our special needs children who like have that experience. They just want to bang their heads or just avoid sound
Yeah.
altogether. It's the very same thing, right? It's
Mhm.
just in a different sense, and this is the energetic sense, the emotional.
Mhm.
So that's why I love energy work. It gives me an empowered relationship with my ability to communicate with my environment and be in the world, and not feel overwhelmed or victimized by, oh my gosh, all the media or someone has a feeling about stuff or et cetera. Mhm.
So this idea of being an empath, I feel like that topic seems to come up, and you get these little self assessments where you're like, are you an empath? And you sort of like check them off, and you're like, wait. But honestly, I think there's a lot of people out there who are that aren't, and maybe they are or not tuned into it rather. I feel, you know, my story is growing up with a mother who was always in pain. So I feel like I'm a little bit more empathetic, or I feel like I am an empath because I am so empathetic. Like I can feel another person's pain. I can feel another person's upset, and it literally upsets me. Like physically, I have this reaction to it. So, I mean, there's probably a lot of people out there that experience that empath. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. And especially when you couple it with being in the service industry or like helping people as this is how your livelihood,
Yeah.
right? So like for entrepreneurs, I think this is another reason why like I kept naturally attracting them,
Yeah.
because there's okay, you out of for whatever divine alignment where grew up with your mother to serve, protect, and provide for her through all of that, right?
Mhm.
And being an emotional sponge in that environment, and then to go on into helping other people, and then being an emotional sponge in those environments as well, it can be really debilitating. It can make you afraid to grow your business, even of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to get hit with even more energy, or take in even more people's opinions about what I'm up to, or how I'm doing, right? And we can register it as empaths, or as, let's just say, sensitives, right?
Mhm.
That way, because not everybody is this sensitive. Not that
Right.
the planet has diversity.
Yeah.
Thank God, right? But even still, like for us as sensitives in particular, we've got to become more aware of how much we're taking in,
Yeah.
especially as entrepreneurs, though, because you're serving other people who can be
Yes.
absorbing their energy.
Yeah, self-care. And that's going to lead us into our conversation about meditation. And I remember, I just remember having conversations with Andrea, the woman that I learned Reiki from, or actually I took her level 1 training, and then she performed Reiki and theta healing on me. But I just remember the importance of self-care, even for you as a Reiki practitioner, and the need to recharge your energy. So, taking that conversation over to the entrepreneur, who now we have entrepreneurs in this, grind mentality, pushing it out, and, keep going 20 hours a day, like whatever, like it's aggressive, right? Because people are always like, I have to keep going. I have to keep going. So, what are you seeing with your entrepreneurs? And like, let's talk about the critical need to do something to care for ourselves, and maybe how meditation could be that tool.
Yeah, for sure. There's a prevailing mantra that I have with my entrepreneur groups, and it's, I don't work that hard. I don't have to work that hard. I don't
Right.
work that hard. Massive impact does not entail massive effort. Massive impact does not entail massive effort. So why are we like the best example of this, and this is what we study in the groups that I lead, is nature. Nature, she's an incredible example of perpetual productivity and forward motion and massive impact and tons of energy, and it's all interdependent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So being in alignment with nature, there's even an emerging branch of business studies called biomimicry, by the way, which means to look at patterns in nature and apply them into a business context, right? So
Mm.
like how to run your business like a beehive, so that you're at the center and you have all of these wonderful people or structures, programs doing things on your behalf.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one example. But I want to touch on what you said, especially with how in Reiki, there's one of the first things that you're taught is that you have to clear yourself first.
Yeah.
To clear yourself first before you begin working on somebody else's energy.
Yeah.
And whenever I'm explaining this to people outside of a Reiki context, because most people you tell them about, oh, I'm a Reiki master, they're like, oh my gosh, perfect. I need the leaves removed from the front yard. So like, if you're really good at raking leaves, that's great. Like, oh, I've never heard of like a Reiki master. No, right? They have no. I like to give examples from outside outside of like the energy cultivation process, because we'll just sound like a whole bunch of jargon.
Yeah.
If you've ever flown on a plane before, right? And you're sitting, there's the safety presentation, and there's everybody up like the steward, the stewardess are like doing the pointing and stuff, and they say, in the event of turbulence, oxygen masks may drop from above. Make sure that you put yours on first.
Yeah.
Or helping the person next to you, even if it's your child, right? So here's the thing. Think of our lives as that flight. Turbulence may come up. Transformation, change, and challenges are coming up. If you as the business owner, forget even business, you as a mother, right? You as the leader of your friend group or even of yourself, if you don't take that moment to put your oxygen mask on first, your ability to perform as someone who is supportive and caregiving and etc. goes immediately down if you don't apply self-care first. And so Reiki puts that within an energetic concept, but this is something that is germane to helping people in general. Your self-care is not just a luxury. It's not something luxurious or, extra. It is an absolute necessity. In fact, it is the force behind all action you take, period. If you want to take massive action, then you have to have massive self-care. The two are not like separate, they're deeply tied.
Yep. Exactly. And I think that as a society, we relate to self-care as a luxury that's once in a while. And, who was I talking to? I was talking to someone and they said, I took a spa day and I came back to work the next day and I felt marginally better. I didn't feel great. I felt good in the moment at the spa for the day. But when I came back to work, I was still kind of tired. And I think that points to the importance of a self-care practice, daily practice. So let's talk about meditation. Let's talk about why that can be so fruitful for an entrepreneur who's got a lot of goals ahead of them.
Absolutely. So I want to be clear that meditation is not turning off your mind. Right. And if anyone is teaching you to turn off your mind, you need to turn them off. Like you need your mind. Your mind is your power. So anything that, like, there's this big myth that, or first impressions that people get when they come to meditation classes with me of like, I'm not good at meditating. I can't turn my mind off. And I'm like, okay, I understand that that's what you think meditation should be. But I want you to know that at least if you're studying meditation with me, that's not going to happen because entrepreneurs need the full extent of their mind to be tuned in, tapped in, and turned on. And the way that we meditate is to access that. So I'm going to redefine what exactly is the goal of meditation, so that we can really talk about this productively. And it is to expose yourself to the state of being relaxed and focused. The goal of meditation is a relaxed focus. The outcome of a good meditation practice, or the reason why we are meditating on a regular basis, is to produce a state of relaxed focus. Why do we care? Because when we think about focusing, it's usually like, all right, let's go. There's this clenching and
Yeah.
intensity, and it's anxiety based.
Yeah.
Most of our concept of focus is off of punishment, pain, anxiety. It increases the blood pressure and does all kinds of really bad secondary effects to your physical health when you're like, oh, I gotta be focused. And that creates, like you were saying, Michelle, that grind culture, that grindy culture that grinds you all the way to the hospital.
Yeah.
All right. Or grinds you all the way out of your marriage, or
Yeah.
grinds you all the way. Like it has really bad effects. So the reason why we practice meditation, especially as high performing conscious entrepreneurs, is to cultivate a state of relaxed focus so that we can be effective and still fluid, right? You can be productive and still creative.
Yeah.
You can be present while your body is still relaxed. You don't have to be like hunched
Yeah.
forward into some sort of attack mode,
Mhm.
associating that with focus. And
Mhm.
so that's why we integrate meditation into the entrepreneurial lifestyle. It makes it sustainable and compassionate to the fact that you are not a machine. You
Yeah.
are a human being, right? And this honors your body and your emotions in the way that you were naturally built, rather than trying to turn you into the next app.
That's amazing. I love what you're sharing, and I agree entirely about the focus part, because I think people forget, they forget that it's harder to produce and to do a good job when there's so much stuff going on in our minds, right? It's like it's virtually impossible to have that focus when you're constantly worrying about things, in the peripheral of your brain that are nagging at you. And the thing that I love about meditation, and I used to do it regularly, and then I just got too busy, it got too busy. I didn't have time. And just this past week, I started to reincorporate like 8-minute meditations, like not even that long. Like people think you got to do it for hours. Like I literally was doing like 8 minutes, 8 minutes. And the word that I used to you about how I was starting to feel was grounded. I was starting to feel grounded again. I was starting to feel like, oh, so if I can just do this for myself, I'm going to be less irritated. I'm going to be less stressed. I'm going to stop reaching out there for things that bring fulfillment, and start really connecting myself with my source. So it's powerful. I mean, it's simple, and it doesn't have to take long. And I think that's what people need to be reminded of. Like, it doesn't have to take a long time, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So the same way that when you do an exercise effectively, it doesn't have to be done a lot. Like if you do such as high intensity interval training,
Mhm.
that's like 30 to 90 seconds of maximum effort followed by like 30 to 90 seconds of rest.
Yeah.
That causes your body to have natural hormonal as well as biochemical responses that fire off the production of muscle, building muscle and burning fat. It's very efficient. And so a HIIT workout will go maybe about 15 minutes if you're the Hulk, right? That's max. Whereas if you're just running on a treadmill, you could be running for hours and not get the same type of results in 15 minutes, as opposed to doing things in a certain way. If you're doing something that's effective,
Mhm.
doesn't take a lot. So when you tune in to meditation, if you're doing it in a certain way, what do I mean by a certain way? I'm quoting, when I say that phrase, a certain way, I'm quoting Wallace Wattles and The Science of Getting Rich, by the way.
Mhm.
It's amazing. When you do things in a certain way, I mean you are fully present to it, right? 60 seconds of present to your deep breathing and active relaxation can do a world more than an entire hour, 60 minutes of not caring about your body or how you breathe at all. Right?
Yeah.
It's, are you present to the practice, and are you doing something that is effective for you. So 8 minutes, absolutely. If that's for you and your unique divine alignment, that's how you sink into it and you get refreshed. Perfect. For
Yeah.
someone else, it might need to take 30 minutes. For someone else, they only may have like 1 to 3 minutes or something like that. That's fine. There are forms of meditation that involve take a deep breath in for every finger you have, and then you're
Mhm. You know, I love that. And I want to get your advice for those out there who are like, I tried it. I sat quiet. The noises in my head didn't stop. I was doing it wrong. I just can't do that. Because I got to tell you, I have encountered more people, friends, clients, business acquaintances who just are resigned to the idea. They're just like, listen, I tried it. I fell asleep. I tried it and my brain didn't shut down. So like you were saying earlier, it just didn't stop. So I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that, and I'm not going to do it anymore. What do you say to someone? Because I feel like they're missing out. Because when I started, I didn't know what I was doing. And of course I still heard noises, but you know what? Even though I still heard my thoughts, I still came out of it feeling marginally better. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but like isn't it like a muscle? So give us some advice for those who were just like, tried it, doesn't work.
Yeah. So in addition to the concept of what's the point of meditation? So like we already said, the point of meditation we now understand is to experience relaxed focus. So the advice that I would give in addition to that is make it sensual. And I'm not talking like da na 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 na. No, you need to broaden your range of sensuality. If that's the only thing that comes to mind, people. But so what I'm talking about is the sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. The five senses, according to Aristotle, at least. And by the way, so current experts agree that we have anywhere between 16 and 23 senses, right? Such as, let's say, thermoception, which is the ability to sense heat, magnetoception, the ability to sense magnetism, proprioception is my foot I can sense is below my head right now, right? So the relationship from limb to limb is sense that we have. But actually, side note, all the ancient Egyptian believe and documented we have over 300 senses. But that, neither here nor there for the sake of brevity. 5 senses, make it a sensual experience. That's how, if you're like me, or how I used to be, you suck at being present. I used to suck at being present and focusing. I'm creative. I'm like, I'm on to the next thing. Absolutely. High energy. Okay, and bring all of that high energy to being sensual. What does that mean? Sight. For the next maybe 1 to 3 deep breaths, I'm going to find something visual and breathe and look at it. Right? Sound. For the next 1 to 3 deep breaths, I'm going to pick up a sound in my environment and I'm going to pay attention to the sound. Taste. For the next 1 to 3 deep breaths, I am going to maybe focus on what does the inside of my mouth taste like, no matter what it does. For the next 1 to 3 deep breaths, I am going to focus on the sensation of the way that my pants sit on my abdomen right now. Smell. For the next 1 to 3 deep breaths, I am going to pick up on whatever scent comes first in the environment, whatever it may be. There you go. You meditated. Your mind may have been like, oh, la, 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 but the moment that you have to focus in a relaxed way on a scent, it brings it in. Anybody can do this. And if you can't, you need to go and visit your doctor because apparently you need your glasses checked. Maybe you need to visit the ear, nose, and throat specialist because you're like your sight, what you're hearing, your olfactory sense of your taste isn't working. Maybe you need to visit the doctor if you don't have your 5 senses. So this is a much bigger problem. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. You work a lot with entrepreneurs, like you said in the beginning. Somehow, some way, they were led to you based on your expertise, which I absolutely love. I love when the universe shows us who we need to be servicing with our gifts. But because you do interact with a lot of entrepreneurs, some probably new, some probably seasoned, you probably really are in tune with where their pain points are and what they're struggling with. So what have you learned from working with them, and what could you offer the audience if they're entrepreneurs and they're in a space that maybe they can benefit from what you've observed?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I'm entering now my 11th year in business, and over the last decade, I have worked directly with hundreds of entrepreneurs, and I have also directly networked, masterminded, and collaborated with thousands of entrepreneurs from all over the world. So for what I'm going to share here, I want you to know I've seen some things, I've met some people, and anywhere from people who are, all right, I'm starting my business. They're like at the moment of starting their business, to like a few great friends of mine have multi-$100 million businesses, and I sat side by side with these people and like talked with them and masterminded. So like this, it's the same across the board. The challenges that entrepreneurs face are right here.
Yeah.
Mindset. The biggest, oh gosh. If I could have $1 for every time someone said like talk to me about their mindset or imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
or like thinking of like, I don't know if I can do it or all that types, I would be a bajillionaire. Right? But that's okay. I would donate it all.
Yeah.
Right? I would stay focused.
Yeah.
So, but with that, for us as entrepreneurs, your number one priority has got to be getting your mind right. Right? If I'm going to be very blunt, get your mind right. The biggest challenge is for you to believe that you can continue to be effective as an entrepreneur. We are by design outside the norm.
Yeah.
So many loving, helpful family members and friends want to come around and say, maybe you should just get a real job.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Don't you, like, I know you're struggling, right? But
Just go get a job.
get a real job. Right? Get a job, you'll be fine. But you're cut from a different cloth if you're an entrepreneur. You have committed to an entire life of living the artist's way. This is a constant space of creation and inspiration. You are the hunter and the gatherer. You are not just hanging out waiting for someone to bring you the next buck for you to eat. No. You are literally going out in the countryside, hunting that buck and going and bringing it back, and then preparing it for your family. Yeah. So this is,
I love that.
Entrepreneurs need is to put your mindset first, and we always throw it onto the back burner. Self-care is not important. The dollars are. The dollars come from the self-care. Listen, think of it this way. What is responsible for bringing money into your business? You. And if you are not feeling well and not in a peak state, an optimal operational state, right? Thinking of yourself as like a printer, if you have to. It's like, oh, my printer's broke, right? If you don't have, if your system, your operating system, your mind is not working properly, then no, it's not going to print. You are not going to get the dollars printed out that you were looking for.
Right.
The force behind all action is your energy and your self-care. And entrepreneurs have to remember to put that first, but we always put it last, thinking that money is more important than me or how I feel. And cart before the horse right there.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's so awesome. And, I am part of a really cool group on Clubhouse that I met called Spice Nation. And they are a group of heart-centered entrepreneurs, and we spend a lot of time in our rooms talking about mind shift and how you really do have to make sure you're feeding your mind things that are going to help you and that you're getting the rest. And it's so interesting in the conversations I've been hearing on Clubhouse. I hear so many people, because of COVID, because of the environment being different than it was last year, there's a lot of people struggling with this mindset of scarcity versus mindset of abundance. And I'm a true believer that there's enough in the world, there's enough in the universe to feed us all. It's something I've always believed in, that if you do the right thing and do good and put out the right energy in the world, there is enough and there is abundance. But I hate to hear those people struggling with the belief system that, someone else is going to eat my lunch, and someone else is doing it a little bit better than me. And so that screams at me that they're coming from a scarcity mindset. So maybe you can talk to us a little bit about this abundance mind. Is that something that we are able to develop? I mean, how do you help someone develop this mindset of abundant thinking versus scarcity?
Mm-hmm. So I'm so glad that you asked this question the way that you did right now, because what happened just now is that my intuitive guidance opened up an interesting way to approach it. And it's this: scarcity mindset helps you. It serves you. What does it do? It makes you feel safe. It makes you feel safe of like, I'm keeping it safe, keeping it structured, keeping it small. I'm keeping it suspicious so that, I'm not open to attack. I'm going to keep things as safe as possible. Having a scarcity mindset, the reason why so many people have a scarcity mindset is because they have been domesticated to believe that this is what makes them safe, is being small, tight, limited, invisible, right? As making as minimal impact as they can possibly be. We want to make sure you keep you as small as possible. Who does that benefit actually, right? Someone is literally profiting. Something is literally profiting off of most people convincing themselves to be as small and controlled and as domesticated as possible.
Yes.
And I'm getting very strong elephant spirit animal energy. You've ever seen a baby elephant? They're flopping and normal and they have all this power they just kind of throw around. And so how does someone take a baby elephant that could literally walk through a building, I mean through the walls, bust through them no problem? How does someone take a baby elephant who has all of that all that raw power, and turn it into a circus elephant, or almost like a glorified car that you can just drive around and do what you will with?
Yeah.
When they're young,
yeah,
they get tied around the neck to a really big, strong rope, and they struggle and they struggle and struggle against it until there's a point where they give up and accept that the rope is stronger than them. Even though at any given point in time, if you're in the circus, you see that elephant standing there, they could literally just squash the person in front of them. Just 1 foot, or even just they turn to the side, everything fall apart.
Yeah.
But they don't, because they've been domesticated.
Yeah.
We have been domesticated.
Yes.
To believe that a lack mindset is something that protects us, is empowering, and is responsible, and all of that. This is a form of human domestication.
Yeah.
And so rather than telling you all of the abundance mindset stuff, my spirit guides, my intuition is actually telling you to become aware of the more that you subscribe to a lack mindset and keeping yourself playing as small as possible, the more you subscribe actually to being domesticated and to being controlled and kept small, so that you can't go out there and actually live your purpose.
Right.
It's the dream that you should have. It shouldn't really happen in the world.
Right.
Not trustworthy. People aren't trustworthy. Our world does not deserve to be improved to the level that you could see.
Mm-hmm.
No. So I would encourage people, if you're really struggling with that self-belief, or even if it's not self-belief, but struggling with belief in the world around you and that there's enough to go around,
Yep.
please remember this. It is very profitable for you to believe that.
Yep.
For you.
Yep. Exactly. Oh my gosh, you just hit the nail on the head. Absolutely. I mean, I was listening, I read the book, The Conscious Creator and The Four Agreements over again, and it reminded me of the domestication. And our society does, have us want to stay small and play small because it gives us that sense of security, but really there really isn't truth to that sense of security. We think it is. And so I always like to turn this on its head and be like, who are you withholding from the world by playing small?
Yes.
Right? Like, think about it. I mean, for you to have gotten connected to your purpose, for me to have gotten connected to my purpose, like, I have a responsibility now to live that out and help as many people as possible. And that's what I'm on a mission to do. But so many of us become, I mean, I spent 19 years in the corporate world working for a man, working for the man, as people say. Like, and I was very happy and very comfortable, and it was very safe and it was very certain. And I was not living my purpose. Right. So it's like, it's to see that contrast is really eye-opening. But then once you see it, it's like, I have a tall responsibility like you to help who's coming to me, and how dare I withhold that from them,
Absolutely. And this, what we're talking about right here, Michelle, is for people who feel the call, right? For people who are wired to risk take. They're wired for the adventure. They're wired to be creative, right? To come up with innovative solutions. They're wired that way. I want to honor the fact that not everybody's an entrepreneur. Please do not watch this, or please do not watch any of my YouTube videos, my podcasts, my books, and all this stuff. Do not come and be like, I got to start a business. No, you don't. If you are not wired for this, if you don't feel that inner voice saying yes, 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 as we're talking about this, that is perfectly fine. Go help an entrepreneur. For the love of God, join their company. I'm grateful for my team. I have over 20 people supporting me, and it's okay that they're not all entrepreneurs. I bless their divinity and not being wired this way, because somebody's got to get in there and be like steady, stable, and reinforcing this paradigm that I am bringing in, like that the creatives are bringing in. But I also want to just send some extra love to if someone's listening in and they're like, well, I actually really like my career. I like the stability. I don't please.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane. Absolutely.
stay in your lane.
Stop pretending like they're in corporate or waiting for somebody to give them their self-esteem handout.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing. Oh my goodness. I could talk to you all day long. I want to respect your time. So tell us what you're up to. How do people get in touch with you? How do people plug into you if they feel like they want to connect with you, with what you offer entrepreneurs?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for that. I feel the same way, like, oh, we are rocking and rolling. I'm going to have to come find you on Clubhouse and just keep vibing.
Yeah.
So how to connect? I think the best place for you to come find me is at victoriawhitfield.com. That's where all of my stuff is kind of centralized. I am the most on social media. I'm everywhere. Right? You put my name in Google, Sensei Victoria Whitfield, all the things come up. But where I'm the most active on social media is Facebook. We have a really fabulous Facebook group of hundreds of entrepreneurs that are conscious, just like you and I, called the Entrepreneur Master Manifester Facebook group. Type that in the search bar, and you'll come find me and everyone in there for really fabulous high-level networking, inspiration, and energy clearings. Another place to come find me if Facebook isn't exactly your jam is on my podcast, which you were just on. Oh my God. Yeah. So come over to the Journeypreneur podcast. That's entrepreneur and journey put together as one word, Journeypreneur podcast. It's on iTunes for Apple users, and journeypreneur.podbean.com is for Android users. as well. We have well over 160 something episodes of inspiration, fabulous, brilliant interviews and insights from experts just like Michelle there. And I'm really grateful for that. We're going to keep that going forward. I'm excited to see who else is going to come next on the podcast. But if you really feel like a resonance with me in particular, though, go ahead. If you want to jump on my calendar, it's victoriawhitfield.com/contact. So that you can hop on my calendar there and we can have a one-to-one around what's coming up for you and integrating more meditation and energy support in your business.
Amazing. I'm just going to pop up this comment we have from our dear friend.
Yeah.
You clearly have had a positive impact on her life, which is wonderful. And I just want to say thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you for your time. You're amazing.
Oh my goddess, I've had so much fun, and I am so grateful that you invited me to come and have this conversation. It's like I really feel that you are doing divine work for our community through hosting these conversations. It's truly an honor to get to be a part of your mission purpose. Just I'm right there with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, my dear. We will see each other on the Clubhouse and beyond.
All right.
Bye for now.
Bye. Bye.